Hello and welcome to SoBricks. I'm Adam and this is SoBricks. This is my channel for reviewing Lego sets and building them and other Lego related stuff. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the Lego DC Superman Mech versus Lex Luthor set. This is set number 76302. It has 120 pieces, and I paid $15 for this set. So I've already covered the more recent Spider-Man versus Anti-Venom one, and I also have the Iron Man versus Ultron one that all released in 2025 at the beginning of the year. And one of the things that I've said, and I might keep saying, is I don't know if there was a conscious change in direction to maybe have the mechs be a little bit smaller or fewer pieces, but then have two minifigures instead of one in these mech sets. I'm not really sure, but I'm really excited to get this Lex Luthor in here, and there's not a ton of Superman sets out there. I looked at one. I've looked at maybe a couple, but mostly for DC, it's essentially just Batman and stuff around Batman. So it's cool to get new or different characters. I suppose there was a couple Wonder Woman sets, and there was there's going to be probably more DC sets as other movies come out and everything, but we will see. Either way, I was excited to see this, and in this video I'm going to open this up, I'm going to put this together, and then I'm going to share my thoughts on it. So while I build, I will speed the video up, and then I'll slow it back down to review this set. So until then, enjoy. Okay, so while we look at the build for this Lego DC Superman Mech versus Lex Luthor, I just wanted to say thanks for watching, and then remind you, if you like the video, click the thumbs up. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button. That helps me a lot. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers, so I appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, maybe consider checking it out. This comes together like many other mechs in this kind of form factor, using those kind of bent arms and leg pieces, build out the legs, the arms a little bit. This one does have some extra accessories on the back and some differences to it, but it's still very similar to other ones of these mechs. So now on to my review for this set. Okay, so here we have the Lego DC Superman Mech versus Lex Luthor. This is pretty cool. I have some thoughts about this, and I'm happy to get into it here. So the first thing that we will look at actually is the minifigures, because you do get two of them. And let me start with the Superman here. Let me just make sure I pull this up. So we have a Clark Kent figure here, a Superman figure in the suit, in their getup, which feels about right. I don't know if this is the same one I got in the set that I had that had like Lobo in it, like the Superman and Crypto Unite thing, but pretty good hair for Clark Kent. Face is normal. We do have an alternate face here, which is looking a little angrier, a little more stern, and also has the different color eyes in there, so it might be a little difficult to see, but I think the eyes are kind of more reddish here. We have the cape. This is a single hole cape. It's kind of the spongier, softer material. I couldn't quite tell if it was like 2-ply, but I wasn't sure if the colors were actually slightly different from one side to the other. I don't think so. You can see through it a little bit. It's kind of stretchy there. Nice to get that. Torso, pretty basic. Got the Superman emblem there. All of Superman's muscles under the suit. Some good lines. Got the belt around the waist. No printing on the midsection. No printing on the legs. Just blue. And no printing on the arms. Printing on the back of the torso has just kind of the standard back details you might find on a character like this. Overall, I think this is fine. I think this might be a newer version of Superman, so than the one that came in that other set, and I think that's nice. I don't know if it's supposed to be referencing like the new Superman movie that's going to be coming out, or if it's just sort of the standard one that they have been using. If I look, I mean, certainly the face printing is different for that one that was the DC Superheroes Superman and Crypto team up set. And was the torso the same? The torso may be the same for that one. And the cape, that cape might have been different. So let me, actually maybe this torso is different. There's kind of more detail, so some of the stuff up above the torso is on there that wasn't on that one that I've looked at previously on the channel. There's some extra details on the side, and then the belt kind of has some extra little details in there as well. So that appears to be a new, or at least different, torso and face printing. It's not, I don't think, different hair than what was on a previous one, but that's okay to see that. And then the other figure we get here is a Lex Luthor figure, which I think is really great because that's another character that I did not have when, you know, I did not have a version of Lex Luthor here. So very, very cool. Right off the bat, we have an accessory here that is a stud or tile shooter, kind of the gunmetal gray version one, and we get a couple of these translucent green studs that can go in there, and those are, I'm assuming, supposed to be some sort of kryptonite type material for in there, which is great. The other thing we get here is this crystal piece that is in that translucent green, for, again, maybe some kryptonite. And then looking at Lex Luthor here is quite good. We have a face which is kind of nondescript, but stern, sort of an unhappy looking face. A little definition for the cheekbones and stuff there. No alternate face, no hairpiece. This character is famously without hair on their head for most of the time. We have this really cool pauldron piece here, which is actually like a familiar mold, but nice to get it in the translucent green there. So that goes around the minifigure and the neck. And then the torso is, I believe this is all on, is it all green? I think so. I thought maybe it was like pearl gold-ish, but I don't believe that to be the case now. But we have this insanely detailed torso here with nice pops of like purple in there, the L up there, some of the stuff around the collar, really, really small details up around the arms area, a bunch of stuff going on in the midsection there. So that's really, really great. Very detailed midsection printing in here with all the different colors. Feels like it flows really nicely. And then printing on the legs as well, kind of up at the top, in the middle, down on the bottom. So great to get this Lex Luthor suit. No printing on the arms. Back of the torso again is like super, super detailed. Even in the kind of spine area of the suit there, there's a bunch of small details kind of delineating the vertebrae sort of things. There's the little pops of color. There's all these extra fine lines and dots and rivets and different things going all throughout here. So a really, really detailed Lex Luthor figure, which I think is great. And again, I sort of talk about this with the Spider-Man versus Anti-Venom, because the Anti-Venom one is not a common character, even though that figure wasn't as like detailed as maybe this one. And I also talk about it in the Iron Man versus Ultron one, because the Ultron figure is not super common, and that was an incredibly detailed character too. So that Ultron one and this Lex Luthor one I think are really great, and then I'm just happy to see Anti-Venom represented here. So we get the two figures there, plus, you know, a couple little accessories for Lex Luthor, and then the rest of the set is this Superman mech. And this is standard, not too different from any other mechs that I've been covering recently. This video will probably come out before the Iron Man one, but after the Spider-Man one, so there is a lot of similarities here. The kind of torso main body piece is the same. We add some 1x2s with the mixel joint on there. We add the kind of chest piece in that nice blue. Then we have the 2x2 jumper, and then this triangle piece with the Superman print on there, which is great. We do add on some additional stuff on the back, so this one is more built out around the back than a lot of the counterparts like the Spider-Man one or the Iron Man one. So we have more going on back here, which sort of looks a bit like a cape, but also a bit extra. So we have like these thrusters down here. You can kind of position these a little bit. They use that 1x1 hollow stud with like the bar coming off of it in red back there, slope here, cheese wedge here. I think it looks pretty cool. It does kind of give the impression of a cape, but then we build out these little sub-assemblies here that have this piece is attached via a Technic pin in there. It's the yellow pin, so even seeing that is not too bad because we have yellow in other parts of the build there, but you probably won't see that for the most part. You can kind of angle these out, just a slope, inverted slope, and the kind of 1x1 with the double-sided hollow stud piece there that goes over there, and we can kind of angle those out, and those can act as like thrusters for this, some extra propulsion for flying around, and I think they look really cool. It does kind of look like the cape, but also serves some sort of function in there. So that's built up on the back, which makes this a little bit more of unique compared to the Spider-Man or Iron Man one. Then this one does have like the waist, so we build out kind of the separate hip waist area. It does have the belt. I think it's an interesting choice to use like yellow kind of cheese wedges here, but then use this pearl gold here. I maybe would have liked to see like all of that be pearl gold or all of it be yellow. It just feels a little bit weird there to me, and it almost makes the gold not look as nice to me to be paired with the yellow, but maybe that's just a personal thing. I might have liked to have seen that swapped out, which is an easy enough change. Looking at the legs, these are built the same, just mirrored right to left. Pretty narrow throughout. We do have the pre-formed pieces, pre-bent pieces for the arms and legs here. These are in the blue, inverted tile up there, just kind of the ball joint piece, and then the kind of tulip petal piece here. Down at the lower leg, the calf, we have these nice 2x2 inverted tiles. We have a bracket with an ingot and then a slope over here. Pretty basic there. The feet are identical as well. And they just have the 1x2 cheese wedge, some stuff underneath here, some disc pieces there, inverted tiles down there, the slope on the front. The one thing I'll say about this, and I can kind of compare it to the Iron Man one, is that the legs and the feet on this figure, more so than the Spider-Man one, are really similar. And one of the things I mention in that video, and I'll mention in this one, is I hope that they can continue to make these kind of the more stripped down version without having them just feel like recolors, because when we look at this, these feet are pretty much the same, just some different colors used in there for the 2x4 like Technic plate, and different color for what's underneath the feet a little bit there. And then looking at the legs are actually almost identical too. So instead of the round inverted tile here, we have the square one. We do have the extra inverted tile up there, but the piece up for the kind of calves is the same piece. It's just rotated. So the studs are up here. The studs are kind of more towards the knee on this one. And then looking at the calf area there, it's the same exact pieces as well. They happen to be, like the dark red or dark brownish red versus just kind of standard red here, which this actually gives a good look. But the legs for these two mechs are like very, very similar, and they're probably just different enough to like make it passable. I think this is probably like the closest I would want them to be. I would hope they could continue to maybe have some variation between making the legs a little more bulky or a little more robust, or using different pieces, making the feet differently, and that way it doesn't feel like there's just a color swap to get to other characters there. That's my hope. And then looking at the arms, I mean, at the very least, the arms for this one and the Iron Man are really different. So that's great. And it does go to show like how much kind of differences we can do using the standard kind of thing that we're working within here, the standard kind of like mech sort of build and scale and everything there. Looking at the arms again are identical. They are just mirrored. We have the pre-folded pieces here, pre-bent pieces. We do the kind of like a clip up there with a little bit of like a pauldron area, or like kind of like a continuation of the cape. I like to think of this in this instance that like these and combine kind of with the stuff on the back to kind of give more of a cape-like look to it. So we have those can move a little bit, be positioned. Nice little pointed piece here, and then we have a very basic build for the arms, or for the hands, kind of for the forearms, just a Nexonite shield separated by some plates. Those are modified plates with the bar on there, so we can clip on these like mech fingers and kind of the pearl silver, so you get some of those. The other arm very much the same. There's no like nothing on the hands for these ones for different accessories, which the accessories and stuff like that is another way to really differentiate like different characters. So having Spider-Man and the Mech be able to have the web, have Iron Man having like stud shooters on one hand, and then for Superman here having like the jetpack cape type thing, makes a ton of sense to me. Thinking about the posability of this, it's pretty much the same as any of those other ones. We can move the legs forward and back, not as far forward, good amount back. You kind of have to, in this case, move them out a little bit to kind of get that, just because the like mixel ball joint piece is gonna kind of bump up against those cheese wedges there. So but we can get this to be on one foot and balance. We can get it into some running poses there. For the arms, we can get it all the way around that way. They can't come all the way down, they can't come like super close across, but actually because we don't have anything underneath here, these can get closer to the torso than like a lot of other mechs can. So that's pretty good. It can get way closer than, say, like the Iron Man one. The Iron Man one can only go to there, whereas this one can go like all the way in, because it has this piece underneath the arm, which severely limits kind of its mobility in that line. So that's nice. And then we can open them up, we can raise them up again, getting pretty much straight up, and you could almost have these coming like very straight down if you move kind of the jetpack things out of the way, and if you moved the fingers and had them forward a little bit. This one has fewer limitations than in terms of movement for the arms than, say, the Iron Man one. And then of course we have the hip rotation, so we can get this to move even more. And so even though we can't like have one arm cross over, it does get closer to being able to do that, or give the impression of doing that. It gets closer to that than other mechs in this form factor. So good movement for the arms, and then anything we can't quite get, we can cheat a little bit with the hip movement. I'll show what it looks like with Superman in there, because we can put them in there, and I think we can have them with their cape kind of coming out a little bit, which again I think is kind of cool. If it almost has the cape sort of, going in by the jetpack. Hopefully the cape doesn't like get caught up in any of this propulsion or any of this intake or anything like that. And we can have Superman in there. Right now he is still on his more angry face. I can flip that around, and then we can have this character kind of interact with Lex Luthor here, and Lex would be able to fire off kryptonite at Superman here and different stuff using the stud shooter. And I think this is pretty good to get a new kind of DC mech. I think this is nice, and I really like the figures. I think the Lex Luthor is really, really good and not a super common figure, so excellent to get in this set. I'll show the extra pieces because you do get some. Not a ton, but some. The kind of trigger piece for the stud tile shooter, Technic pin, your 1x1s, your studs, your tiles. So you do get an extra of that green translucent one. There's the one in the stud shooter. There's one over here on the side, and then you do get another one. A couple of cheese wedges of various colors in there as well. So those are all your extra pieces. And this set is 120 pieces, 2 minifigures, and it retails for $15. That's what I paid. So comparing this to the Spider-Man versus Anti-Venom and the Iron Man versus Ultron, this one has the most pieces, 120 pieces, versus I think the Iron Man one only has 110. The Batman one had 140. The so what does like the War Machine one have? I think that one had, more than some of these. That one had 154. And I'm trying to see the Venom Miles Morales. That was 134. What was the most recent Spider-Man Anti-Venom? It was like 102, 107. So the Iron Man has the fewest with 101, I believe. Then like that Spider-Man Anti-Venom one had 107. This one has 120. And some of the ones like the Batman one was up at 140, War Machine. Some of these other ones from previous kind of waves of these mechs have been kind of closer to the 150 range, so there is fewer pieces in here in this one and in the other ones, but a lot of those original ones, the Batman one included, which is a somewhat more recent one, only had one figure in it. And I think I've been kind of talking about this when I've looked at all 3 of these new releases for 2025. If the trade-off is like making these a little less bulky, a little less building in them, just fewer pieces, but then we get 2 figures and we get some figures that are like a little more obscure or less common, or figures like Anti-Venom, like Ultron, like Lex Luthor in like this, then I think that's a worthwhile trade. I don't know how much I'm losing out on. I have appreciated the like extra bulk and different stuff that goes in to building some of the other mechs. The War Machine mech is a great example of that. Batman mech had some kind of more building around the front of the legs and everything, and I think that's really great, but I might be comfortable, sacrificing some of that to get the extra figure, if that means that we also get, as long as that means we don't have just recolors and have the same pieces used for the legs, pretty much the same pieces used for the arms, and we just switch out colors to make them appear, consistent to a given hero's kind of color scheme. I don't really want that. I would like there to still be some distinction between them and some creativity and like pushing a little bit what could be done working in this form factor with these kind of specialized pieces for the arms and legs. And it was just a little bit of a bummer to me to see how similar the legs and the feet are, frankly, for these 2 figures here, these 2 mechs that released around the same time, because it really, in this case, feels almost exactly like a color swap, and I would want to avoid that if we can. And then I'm like super happy if that can be done. And so I do like getting 2 figures. I think these figures are great. I think this Lex Luthor is really nicely detailed, awesome to get. So I think the value here makes sense. These historically, like other mechs from previous waves, have been pretty reliably available at a discount. 20% off would knock $3 off, so we're looking at like $12 for this. For this one, 120 pieces, $12. You get 2 minifigures, so that makes a ton of sense. Frankly, the $15 for this is great. I'm glad it's not $16. There have been some of these mechs that have retailed for $16 in the past. I hope they continue to meet $15. I think getting 2 figures in a $15 set like this is really good. They're licensed, they're detailed, plus you get a little bit of a build and some play and some action and story and narrative in here. So I think these are great fun. Happy to see a Superman one here, and I'm hoping to see maybe more DC heroes. I think it'd be interesting to see. There's a lot of DC characters I think it'd be interesting to see done in this kind of mech form factor. So hopefully they continue to do that. But this set is really great. I'm happy to have this, happy to have talked about it. Out of the 3 of them, comparing this one to the Iron Man one to the Spider-Man versus Anti-Venom one, I don't know what my favorite is. They're all good, I think, for the most part. So I'm really happy with these. I think the price is good, and I hope it doesn't go up, and that's it. So I like it. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up and give it a like. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date on all the LEGO videos I'll be doing here in the future, including more DC stuff, more Superman stuff, and then tons of other LEGO sets from all different themes, all different shapes, size, price point, piece count, tons of different stuff. So subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming LEGO videos. And if you wanted to support the channel in a different way, you can give money to the channel. That can be done on YouTube with membership supers and thanks. I have a Patreon. It's in the video description. Buy me a coffee link in the video description. There'll be a link to buy this set or other stuff in the video description. If you use those links, I think I'll earn a very small commission via those affiliate links. I don't know for sure, but I think that's how they work. I just, I have a pretty small audience here, but that is something to consider too. So if you think about that at any point, I appreciate it. And all that stuff helps a great deal. So thank you very much. And with all of that said, until next time, thanks. Bye.